really like to get into the Edge DVD.
Go ahead, sure.
Loved it. Loved it. The story of Edge, the documentary, got to watch it today. It's entirely loved it. I just love Edge. I mean, I just think Edge is fantastic. Very underrated. It's so funny that two guys, Cena and Steven Regal, said criminally underrated Edge is. It's unbelievable how underrated he is, and he's one of the most decorated title winners ever in wrestling history, and he's terribly underrated. And it's just a great documentary. It was done very well. Lita was on a lot of it, so you could tell him and Lita still have a good friendship. I think they examined the, people were talking about, I was telling Don Tony how some people were bitching online that he didn't acknowledge that he was married when he got in the field with Lita. Who cares? He didn't even like his wife. He had a horrible marriage with Val Venus' wife. That's why he strayed in the first place. It was irrelevant to bring up that woman. But he talked in detail about what happened with Lita, admitted, didn't take shots at Matt Hardy when it could have been very easy to, especially these days. Admitted he was wrong and admitted he was a pariah in the locker room. And William Regal was one of the only guys who stood by him next to Christian. Christian talked about how hard it was to be Edge's friend at that time, because the locker room turned against him. And Lita said the same thing, too. To say we were pariahs is not even an exaggeration. And you talk about two people who were always over in the locker room. So it wasn't siding with Matt Hardy. It was siding with right and wrong. You don't do that to a fellow wrestler. It was more of that kind of code thing. It wasn't anything about siding with Matt Hardy. Even Mick Foley admitted he liked Edge better. He was more Edge's friend, but it was just this code of ethics amongst the wrestlers. So I thought they examined that pretty good. I didn't think they whitewashed it at all. I was reading reviews where they glossed over. They didn't gloss over anything. I thought it was very in detail, and I don't think Edge owes anybody an explanation, to be quite honest with you.
Right.
It's personal stuff. Lita was on a lot of it. His mother was on a lot of it. Obviously, he's got a relationship with his mother. Christian was great on it. I mean, the friendship of those two guys, and I'm sure we've talked about this before. It's so unbelievable to see pictures of them two at 10 years old in the 6th grade together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they go on to be two superstars in the company and be world champions. Just unbelievable. It's a real great story. Christian and Edge's story of growing up together and getting into wrestling together and. It's a real nice story. And Edge also has a very long-standing friendship, with Rhino from being a kid. Rhino was a good friend of his and came out for that Edge appreciation night in Toronto. Trish Stratus was on a lot of the DVD talking about Edge. It was just good. He came out, and he's a changed guy too. If he was like a womanizer or whatever in his old days, now he's living in he was in Colorado, then he went to Tennessee, and he's got like a cabin he lives in. He's very health conscious, and he's definitely changed his ways. He seems to be very much a loner, Edge,
Mm-hmm.
And just fun and very likable. I like I said, I had the pleasure of meeting him in a metal bar in Manhattan, and he was cool as shit. I'll never forget that. He's very gracious. Talked to us for like 15 minutes. And just a good guy. I have nothing but good things to say about Edge. I think he's great, underrated, one of the best wrestlers of all time, in my opinion.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Not technically, but he never has a bad match. And even a lot of the guys said it on the thing. Even Chris Jericho said he really set the precedent for a wrestler getting a chance. And when you know what I'm saying, CM Punk said the same thing too. If it wasn't for Edge, a lot of us would have never gotten a chance.
Yeah,
so he put a lot of people on the map, and his matches with John Cena and Batista were very good.
Mm-hmm.
He got the most out of guys who a lot of people didn't have a lot of faith in, especially Batista. His feud with Batista was really good, and his feud with The Undertaker was great.
Yeah.
So, you see a lot of good stuff, and once again, he's underrated. You forget how good this guy is.
Yeah.
And his mic skills are bar none. And all the Edge and Christian ENC connection stuff, with the baseball stuff and the goofball shit they did with Kurt Angle, how can you not love that?
Yeah, it's true.
And the Brood, coolest trio ever. I got news for you. I like the Brood better than the Freebirds. The Brood was awesome.
Yeah.
It was funny how it was all a vehicle, you remember, for Gangrel to get over, and it did the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And Christian was fantastic on the DVD. It's like, it's a nice DVD. It's a great documentary. I think you'll like Edge a lot more. I know there's some people who don't care for him, but I don't know if that's wrestling-wise or personally. He's certainly not like a Randy Orton. He seems like a generally nice guy. And like I said, I had an opportunity to meet him. Doesn't mean I know him well because I met him for 15 minutes. But like I said, you can kind of tell when someone is genuine. He's a pretty down-home dude. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, makes mistakes like anybody else, but acknowledges them on the DVD, but also when you forget all these fantastic 5-star matches he's had over his career, and a great career, and definitely well deserving of a DVD. Loved it. I give it like 5 stars.
Very cool. Crush, if you're listening, if you get that video, email to me because I definitely want to check it out too.
Yeah. And the matches on there were very good. I wish they included Brood stuff. They did not. And they didn't include Brood stuff on the first DVD they did with Edge. Before they had to do this documentary. I was disappointed in that. I just don't understand why they didn't have any Brood stuff. I don't get that.
Yeah.
That was a little disappointing, But they had when he turned heel for the first time, if you remember.
Yeah.
And and then the live sex thing they showed, which was great. And I didn't realize that did one of the highest ratings in 5-year period on Raw.
It did.
Yeah.
I remember that. Sure.
And it was really funny. And he says they were naked under the sheets, and he was terrified that something would happen. And he was talking about that. He's like, Mike Chioda asked me, "Did you get aroused?" So it's pretty funny. He goes, "Yeah, we were actually naked. Me and Lita were naked on top of each other under the sheets. We were legitly naked." Wow. So it was funny, and they talked about the rating that they did and stuff. I didn't realize it was that high.
Yeah, I remember it being a huge rating, but
yeah, it was a huge rating. It was the biggest rating in a 3-year period.
Yeah,
and and a lot of his matches were highly rated and stuff in the ratings. And he like I said, it's unbelievable how underrated he is, and it was good to hear guys like William Regal and stuff talk about that. Yeah. It's amongst the boys that Edge is so good but so underrated.
Yeah.
So a great career, 15-year career, and majority in the WWE. Or WWF at the time when he first came in.
Yeah, true. That's cool.
And Christian, like I said, just comes off as a class act. Really admires Edge like he admires an older brother, and there's always dispute. Christian might be better than Edge. I don't know about that, but he's a close second. I can tell you that. And like we always talk about tag teams, where it's very difficult for guys to be, so top notch individually. It's usually one guy is top notch, and then the second guy kind of lingers around as a soloist, but. Both guys have cut out such a great career, and it's cool to see pictures of them as kids and home video of them hanging out together when they're like 11, 12 years old, and it's a great story. One guy meets his dream, 2 guys in the same town, 2 best friends, same dream. What are the odds of that happening?
Yeah, that's right.
Right, so can't recommend it enough.
Yeah.
One thing I will not recommend is Zeus shoot interview.
Oh, yeah. I saw a little clips of it.
Awful times 5.
Yeah. Once I heard him talking about being in the hood in L.A. and Compton, I was like, no, thank you.
That was bad.
I know. The guy with him was just awful.
Tiny Lister is a nice man. He's a Christian and all this stuff, and he seems like a real charitable person. He puts the B in boring. I've never been more bored during shooting to you. I swear to God.
He looked bored too. Kept playing with his ring.
I was looking at my pillowcase to put around my neck to take the easy way out.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Hey.
I couldn't find. I almost at one point I couldn't find my remote and I panicked.
Hey, we were talking about
this was bad in every sense of the word.
We were talking about
it's wonderful that he knows NWA and he's friends with Ice Cube and he's friends with Chris Tucker but the wrestling talk was so minimal. I don't know why I watched this. Chris, thank you for getting me that, but in a lot of ways, fuck you. It was pretty brutal. Like skip Zeus shooting to you. There's nothing there to see.
Yeah.
I don't even know why these guys interviewed him. I really don't.
Yeah.
There was just very little talk, and when he did talk about Hogan, he put him over way too much. And that made me very disinterested as well.
Yeah. Earlier we were talking about